morning, everybody. This is Jean here from Truelove Quilts for You. You know that in my voice probably. I'm filming this on Monday, the 6th or 7th of May, and I'm doing block party number 19, block number 19. But before I get to that, I just wanted to thank you folks. Last week, block number 18, I wasn't having a very good week with my computer, my camera, and first of all Maxwell, our son Maxwell, who's not doing very well. Oh my goodness, my top is very dirty. Oh, I should have changed. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, he didn't have a good week, couple weeks, and actually on Friday I had to go to the school and pick him up. He had another seizure. I'm on sort of speed dial. The phone rings and I see that phone number, you know, and I go flying over. Anyway, not nice. But anyway, it's just day by day. It's just day by day. So that's just the stress. This isn't a stress. I said, forget my computer. I set my other computer, my old computer, up in my dining room, real nice. My boys and quite a few have suggested try to find a simple video editing program, which I've YouTubed it. I've said YouTube is my friend. They're all sort of, I get it, they're a little bit less complicated, but they're all still sort of complicated for me. I have to wrap my head around it because I know I can do it. If I want to continue, I'll have to learn. So I will somehow. Just something else I have to learn. So that was that. We had a lovely weekend. My son Niles had on Saturday, this past Saturday, he had a baby, no, not a baby shower, a wedding shower. He's getting, oh, but not a baby shower. He's getting married in July. That's our 9th son is getting married in July. No, he's not. That's our 8th son. 9 boys. Yeah. No, we have 9 boys. Sorry. Not Niles is number 9 child, our 8th son. Isn't that funny? He's getting married to his girlfriend Allie, and they had a wedding shower for her. Real nice up at her house. Real pretty. We Pinterested it out. So maybe I'll put a few pictures up, you know, if you'd like to see it. Niles' wedding shower. Real nice. His wedding is in July. So that was that. We had a really nice, really lovely. My camera is turning out to be really super. I love it. The one thing, I was looking with my husband at my videos of the quilt show that we went to with Jen, and my husband at one point he's like, you have to move the camera slower. I'm like, you're old. Well, he's older than me, much older. Anyway, I'm like, I know. I'm trying to get used to it because I don't like it when people do cameras and they're all over the place. It's like, does my brain in. So I'm having to concentrate the next quilt show. I enjoyed my camera, like honing in on the details, because these quilts are now there I go, are unbelievable. That was another thing. I was watching my video and I was embarrassed. I thought, oh, Jean, you're so obnoxious, annoying, irritating. My vocabulary is extremely limited. I was just saying, oh my God, look at that. That's unreal. That's unbelievable. Look at that. It's unreal. It's unbelievable. I'm thinking, why couldn't I extol the virtues of these masterpieces in a more beautiful way? So what I did, I came home and I looked up my thesaurus. No, not thesauruses. What is another word for thesauruses? Thesaurus. I like a thesaurus because I like words, but I have a limited vocabulary. I can't express myself. So I thought the next time we go to a quilt show, Jen loved it. It was awesome. It was fantastic. It was at this convention center. It was wonderful. Oh, I digress, but let me tell you, these convention centers, after about an hour and a half or an hour 40 minutes, I start to flag. You know, you think I have all this energy, but I have a lot of nervous energy, and the lights get to me a little bit, and the concrete floor. My home here is very dark and very soothing and quiet now, and the convention centers are you know, fluorescent lights. And so Jen's like, oh, we got to go eat something. So, you know, let's go get a bite to eat, you know, after we were reviewing the quilts. And 2 small drinks, an apple juice and a iced tea and 1 soft pretzel was $12. I'm like, sorry, quilt people, that's a rip. And a small salad was like $8 or something. So what we had done is we had some food in the car. So we went out, and because I had known that, but I had said to Jen, like, I don't think you should take food in. That's a little bit douche. I don't like that. Like, a bottle of water, yeah, but, you know, and I understand you need to support them. I get that. Don't write me in saying, you know, you got to support these organizations. But that's a ripoff. Give me a break. Anyway, so that was that. But I'm doing my camera, and I'm listening to my explanation. So I came back to my thesaurus, and I thought the next quilt show we go to, which is in September, Jen and I are going to go in September to the Pennsylvania Convention Center. This was at the New Jersey. I thought, when I video, we're going to be describing these works of art. They're shockingly beautiful in a much more descriptive way. I came back and I found 60 adjectives. So Jen's going to have 30 and I'm going to have 30. So we're going to be describing these quilts. That's so appealing. How fine. Oh, it's delightful. It's splendid. Isn't that exquisite? Awe-inspiring. Impressive. How enchanting. Captivating. Oh, it's scrumptious. So my next video, I'm not like going to sound like an idiot. I'm going to like sound like intelligent. And that's impressive and spectacular. That's gnarly. I like words. Oh, this one. That quilt is pulchritudinous. Have you ever heard of that word? That means it's physically beautiful. It is. It's pulchritudinous. What a pulchritudinous quilt. It's just so funny. But I'm going to do that. My next narrative on our quilt shows, you're going to be blown out of the water. You're going to be so strikingly top-notch, choice, sterling, exceptional. You're going to be charmed and dazzled by my narrative. Anyway, that's that. I better not lose that, because I got to take that to the quilt show. Anyway, block number 19. I wanted this week to be, I'm sorry about that. I wanted this week to be a high contrast block. And it's 8 flying geese. We've done this before, 4 flying geese. And I don't deem this as a failure. I actually did 3 of them. But I was experimenting because I enjoyed it. This is my first attempt. It's a flying geese unit that measures 3.5 by 6.5 inches. And this one was more of a tailored. It was sort of a row here, a row there. I quite like that. But I was trying to use my striped fabric. If you know, I have this color, these fat quarters in a pretty colorways that have all these striped fabrics. This is too contrasting. I use this red and sort of a salmony pink stripe, but then I use this pale mint green. Didn't really work. All I see is red. And it's a little bit So I didn't love that. But I enjoyed making them really a lot. 1/4 inch seam. My points are really nice, but I thought, well, maybe I'll do more of a blended. So I pulled this fabric. You've seen this on my quilt. I've used these fabrics before. It's a red and green, the same print but in different colorway with just one background. This block I'm using 3 different fabrics, the black background and 2 prints. And I like this one. I configured the flying geese to make this sort of center square. So it almost looks like this sort of twirling star around the square. And I enjoyed making that. I thought that was lovely. My points were good. The square was just slightly off, just a hair, whatever. But I liked that block. But again, I didn't love it. And I thought, well, my whole point was to make a quilt with high contrast. So this is what I ended up with. This is block number 19. So it's a pinwheel. And if you remember a couple weeks ago, I wanted to do a pinwheel And it was the disappearing pinwheel. I wanted it to disappear because it was like a disaster. But this week, the flying geese made up in this configuration, which is which is usually called, blocks have all different names, but this is usually called the Dutchman's wheel, to make this pinwheel. And I was real thrilled. Again, maybe you want to just think for a second of your fabric choices, to have the contrast, so you actually see the pinwheel. This black and this red is sort of the same value, whereas the red and the green, even though contrasting, it was just too stark. So, and it's amazing how one unit of one flying geese can make all sorts of different configurations. So this is a fun block. I enjoyed making this very much. This point in here, it's a hair off. But these points, you just have to be careful. By this point in the block party, you should have your 1/4 inch seam down. You should know when you're doing this point, when you're measuring, which I show you, it's just one thread above your 1/4 inch line when you're trimming this unit to 3.5 by 6.5. Just one thread to allow for that little bulk of turning, so you don't cut off your points. So that, folks, is block number 19. I hope you love it. Oh, I just wanted to show you on one of the blocks, on the disappearing 9 patch. If you remember, there's something. If you remember, we made our block, and then if you remember, we cut it in half one way, and then we cut it in half the other way. And if you remember, I sort of have to go to the other side of the table to cut, or else, you're cutting sort of under your arm. When you're doing that, they have in the quilting notion world, which is very good, what's called a rotating mat. And it's an actual mat that you put your block on, and you cut it, and then you just turn the mat. Very, very, very useful. I don't actually have one. I don't know how much they cost. And I have all sorts of notions. When I started quilting, I have every ruler in the book and every template and everything. I use like 2 rulers and 1 rotary cutter. But I was looking at that and I was thinking about that. Maybe I'll get this rotating mat. And I saw one at the quilt show. Nah, I'm not going to get it. I was at Goodwill and I found a wooden Lazy Susan for like, what is it, like $2.96 or something, $2.46 at Goodwill. So I bought it. I bought this Lazy Susan. It's this honking great big Lazy Susan, right? Big, thick Lazy Susan. But look what I did. I actually had I had an older cutting mat that I cut to fit. Have you ever tried to cut a cutting mat? Oh my word! Like it's not fantastic. It's not fantastic, but it's okay. And then I super glued it down to my Lazy Susan. So it's so heavy. So look, folks, I have this great big honking rotary cutting mat. But actually, I think I'll just put it down. But I think when you go to do a quilt block, instead of you turning all which way, you can just turn it. So that's my redneck ghetto version of a rotating mat. The other ones are real nice and sleek and beautiful. So anyway, that's our block number 19. Just one more thing. It's very easy. It's a very easy block. I have over the years made books from a photo sharing, photo storing company. My one I use is Shutterfly.com. Shutterfly you can upload pictures, and then it's like an online scrapbooking thing. You can upload pictures. I'm going to make a book. I've made dozens of them for weddings. I've made wedding albums. They have like all sorts of embellishments, like scrapbooking, all sorts of themes I've made for babies' graduations. They're fantastic. They're fantastic presents to give someone to capture a day or a memory. Really nice. So I was looking at my blocks, and I was laying them out. I'm like, oh, they're so pretty. And Jen's coming. She'll be here. We're going to talk about her blocks because we're coming to the end of the blocks, then we have to put it together. But I thought, I want to make a Shutterfly book. So, and the book that I get, you can get small little paper bound books, you know, just little memory books. But the ones I get are hardbound, 12 inch by 12 inch. And I thought my blocks will end up 12 inches. So what I did with my handy dandy camera is, it's really a nice camera actually. I was taking beautiful pictures just of the block, and I started putting them on. I'm making it, you can save the project on my new computer. One page will be my block, and then on the other page I'm going to do not the pattern, because this is my talking, my tutorials of the pattern, but like how the whole block part evolved, and how Jen, I'm going to get pictures of Jen's blocks, pictures of Jen putting her quilt together, and then hopefully at the end of the day our finished quilts are going to be sort of captured, the whole process, in the Shutterfly book. So I just thought, and then like, you know, our challenges, what the block name is, and how Jen survived that block, or if she didn't, if she liked it. And I just thought that would be really nice, because I've made a million quilts, but this is Jen's first. And I thought that's a really nice way to chronicle her progress, and to have like, it's like a coffee table book. This beautiful hardbound book with both of our quilts, quilts in it, and our quilt blocks. And like I said, it won't have patterns in it, but because I don't do patterns. But you know, my YouTube videos will be as long as YouTube is there, to show like how to make the blocks, whatever. But that's my little thing. I'm going to make a Shutterfly book, block number 19, block number 20. One more block week left. I was thinking maybe I'll make a really hard block. No, I thought, nah, I don't want to make a hard block. I'll make an easy block. So that'll be the end of it, and then we're going to start doing the sashing and the little cornerstones, and put our quilts together. I've really enjoyed it, folks. I thank you so much for following along with me, hearing me vent and natter on. So yeah, so that's our block number 19. Again, thank you for all your best wishes for our dear Maxwell. He's #1 priority right now. But I'm having fun. Life is hard in some ways, but this is fun. This is easy. So have at it, block number 19. Again, thanks. Thanks for all your support. Bye. This week's flying geese units, our 8 flying geese units, block number 19. We have our cutting instructions here. So very, very simple. This is the one we're making 4 flying geese units at one time. We've done this before. And again, like I said, we're just sort of reiterating the different methods, the different very, very basic quilting methods. I'm going to be sort of at the end of this compiling a bit of a list to jog your memory. You might want to write down exactly how we did certain things. And this is the one way to make 4 flying geese at a time. We've made one at a time with a half square triangle pieces, but this is 4 at a time. Very simple. We need 8 4-inch squares of our wings, of more of our background fabric. That's 8 4-inch squares. Then for our actual geese, 2 different prints, we're going to be needing 1 each. And that's 7 1/4 inch square. 7 1/4. Now what we're going to do is, I've actually marked on the wrong side all of my 4-inch squares with a diagonal line from corner to corner. And what we're going to do, our first step, is we're going to put, because we've cut these nice and square, we're going to put the right sides together, pretty sides together, matching up that square with our diagonal line from the corner into the center. Pins at the ready. On one corner. on the opposite corner, again, right sides together, put a marked square and pin it. I'm going to go along. I'm just going to go ahead and mark and do both of these squares at a time. Oh, look at that. I pulled a, where did I get that? It's like a corsage pin. Look at that. It's pretty, like a pearl. Nah, it's too big. I don't know what that's doing there. That's funny. So again, squaring, putting that square on there, nice and square, and bringing out another marked unit. Now, I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine and I'll show you how we're going to stitch this. I have my 2 marked units here with my line, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting our presser foot on the line, the edge of the presser foot, because we're stitching a 1/4 inch away from that marked line. We're stitching a 1/4 inch away from that marked line. So I put my presser foot, my 1/4 inch foot, on the marked line, and that means the needle is going to be stitching a 1/4 inch away. I just go slowly, guiding my presser foot along that line, so I'm stitching a 1/4 inch away, 1/4 inch seam. And right off, I leave my needle down and bring my presser foot up, and what I do, I just pull this out gently. Pull the threads away, tuck them under there, and then just turn this around and come back on myself, just so I don't have to trim those seams. I can just do this in one fell swoop here. I'm sewing on the other side of that line a 1/4 inch. I have my 2 sewn units here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my larger rule and I'm going to cut between the stitching. I'm going to cut on the line. I'm going to cut on that line that we've made. Nice sharp rotary cutter. We end up with 2 units like that. I'm going to cut on the line. Right, now we have this unit here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to my ironing board, and very carefully, this is a very long biased edge, very carefully, I want my seam to go to the dark side, but it sort of doesn't want to go that way. You sort of have to. I'm going to go over to the ironing board. I'm actually going to give that a nice little spritz. And I'm just going to go over and show you how I just gently tug this to make it go over to the dark side. I've done these 2 units here, and I want to show you what I do. Is I set the seam, and again, as I said, because this is a very long bias edge, you're working with a bit of a hard piece here to press. I just want you to very carefully roll that dark side up and just nudge that with the tip of your iron. Just nudge the seam right now with the tip of your iron. And it would be easy just to sort of whack that, but it could, I'm going to give it a bit of spray, and it would be very easy just to get that out of square. Again, because it is on the bias. So I'm just hitting it with a little bit of spray and being very, very careful to keep this nice and square. And I do that with a point so I don't get any nasty tucks, and that stays a nice sharp line there. So again, I'll hit it with hit the seam and set the seam, and then pulling the dark up, I'm holding that white down. I'm just nudging that seam up. Now, if you have I'm doing this because I have red fabric and black fabric that could on this seam show through on my bright white, and I don't want that seam. This isn't a hard and fast rule for this block right now. You could perhaps press the seam if these are darker, but I also think on this unit here that we're going to be sewing, it's advantageous to press it up, and you'll see when we go to construct this. So just take an extra second of your time and keep this block really nice and square, nudging that seam up and pressing towards the larger piece, being careful with this bias. I have my nice pressed unit here, and what I'm going to do with my remaining 4 marked squares, again, right side to right side, marking that diagonal line into the center, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to pin, then I'm going to go over and I'm going to stitch on either side of that marked line. So again, exactly like before, I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch away from that line, right off through that intersection, twizzle it around, and come back on myself. Now we're going to do the exact same thing that we did with the other units. Take my rule, place it on the marked line, cut on the marked line. I now have my 8 units really nicely pressed. So what I'm going to do, and you know me, I use 2 rulers. I don't know why I use 2 rulers, but it just, what I do with this unit, I'm going to trim these up. And I have this ruler and this ruler. You could use 1 ruler, I suppose, but whatever. I'm going to, if we've done before, I'm going to find my 1/4 inch line. I have a nice black line here on this ruler. And what the object is, I'm going to line this up on my mat here. As you know, I don't use my mat for my measuring. I use my rulers. I'm going to line that black 1/4 inch line a hair above, just a hair. Find the 1/4 inch, put the line on the point of my geese, and just a hair, just to allow for the turning of that bulk, and trim it off. What we're wanting to do is we're going to, then I do my, what we're going to do is we want this unit to be, what is it, wait a second, 6.5 by 3.5. That's right, we want this unit to be 6.5 by 3.5. So I do that this way because I'm right-handed. You might want to do it left-handed. Take this edge off. I turn this around. I'll do this with each unit. I'll turn this around, lining it up nicely on my line, and I'll come back and I'll find the 3.5 inch line and the 6.5 inch line on my ruler, and I'll just come to that nice corner, and as you can see, it just slivers off a tiny little bit of the dog ear and of this edge here, just a little tiny edge. 3.5, 6.5. But that little tiny bit of an edge, and there's my perfect flying geese unit ready to be put into my block. Just that tiny little bit of squaring off or rectangling off, not squaring off, makes the world of difference. I make sure this is nice and straight here. That is just a slight hair above that point. I flip it around. I take my other ruler here, Find my 3.5 and 6.5. And just slice off that little tiny bit. And I'll continue doing this until I'm done. Now I have my 8 rectangled up rectangles, my nice trimmed up rectangles, and they are perfect 3.5 inches by 6.5 inches. And we're just going to start putting our block together. This is an old-fashioned block. Sometimes it's called a Dutchman's wheel. I've done this block in different ways. In fact, I'll show you. I was experimenting, as you saw in the beginning, to make this block, and I didn't find them as failures. I didn't love the color. I was enjoying making my flying geese units, as you saw the other 2 blocks, and the different configurations. This is the one I have actually settled on, and it's called sometimes the Dutchman's wheel. And again, I like the contrast of my colors here. So I think what I want is and I've not put this configuration, I want my red, I want my red in the pinwheel that it makes. So it's this configuration here, because this makes a pinwheel. And that's the bit. Oh, I could do it with the black in the middle. Let me just see if I like this. See, now there's our pinwheel. So we will be having to match those points, and they probably won't come out. They probably won't, but it's okay. We'll do the best to match these points. That's the only thing we have to match, really. And these points here. So basically, what we have, I quite like that. Well, let me just see if I like the black in the middle. The black pinwheel. Let me just see if I like that. I have messed around with these flying geese units, as you can see. I enjoyed making. I enjoyed making these four at a time pinwheels. Let me see if I like the black. Nah, I like the red. I like the red. Red's my favorite color. So I want my eye, however you configure this, you want your eye is going to go to that pinwheel. So I like the red pinwheel for myself. So now all we've done this. What do we have here? We have basically a 4-patch, 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me see if that's in the frame. Yeah. See if that's in the frame. So let me just bring this over here. So yeah, there's our block that I'm going to sew together my units here, top to there, making sure that 1/4 inch seam is nice, and then this one goes over to that side, this one to this side, making sure I don't cut off my point. But since I have a nice 1/4 inch and we've allowed for that turning, it'll be nice. And then I'll have my 1/4 inch down here, and then this one over to there. And then when I'm done that, I'll come back and I'll show you. We'll just sew the whole unit together, the 4-patch unit. I've sewn together. I've sewn together these 4 units here. My points have turned out really nice. They've turned really lovely. So I have nice sharp points on my geese. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully sew this seam here and this seam here. And then I'm going to press that. I'm going to press this seam to one side, this seam to the other side, and hopefully then when we come to sew this seam here, they will nest together at this point. We just have one point other than my points here to match. We have this one point here in the center to form that pinwheel. Hopefully it'll work. I've used a 1/4 inch seam throughout this block here. So you want to use a 1/4 inch, even though it has quite a few seams, and sometimes we use a scant quarter. I've used a 1/4 inch, and that seems to have been working okay. So it's just now this pinwheel point. If it matches, it matches. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'm just going to do that now. So now I've sewn them, and I've pressed my seams, that one going that way, this one going this way. Now this is where I'm going to pin it. because we have to match this point, but nest this seam. One goes one way, one goes the other way. I think this is looking pretty good because I have my nice quarter-inch leeway there. Quarter inch there, quarter inch there, quarter inch there, and quarter inch there. So pin, you've done this before again. I'm holding my handy dandy camera here. So I'm going to get my pins out and I'm going to nest that center seam right there, making sure I don't cut off that point, making sure that point's good. So yeah, so I'm going to go do that now. So there we go, folks. My pretty good pinwheel in my Dutchman's wheel block. I'm pleased. Not perfect, because there's 4 points coming together, but I'm fine with it. Absolutely fine. My points here, my geese there, to make a really nice pinwheel. Just 8 half square triangles. Oh, let me just see. I hope it measures. Yep, 12.5 inches. Just a slightly short there, and there's just a little dog ear over here. Sliver that off there. But there we go. My 12.5-inch block. Real pretty. Real pretty. Like I said, I show my other two. I was pretty much just experimenting with making these. I didn't. Let me just get them again. I didn't deem them a failure. I'm going to use I'm going to make these as a table winner or something. I showed you before. This is for, I mean, they're all different. Look, and it's just the same exact unit. It's just the exact same flying geese unit here. So this is a pinwheel. These are like rows, and this creates more of like a spinning star, if you can see that, with the square in the middle. So you can really go to town with this block. This block, as I was saying, I found a little bit too stark. That was a little bit of a mistake, my first block. I filmed it, actually. Didn't take me long. So I thought, nah, I don't love it. Don't deem it as a mistake. It was my color choice. I guess that's what I'm saying. Color choices matter a lot in this quilt, in this block. This one I liked very, very much. And the way I configured it, I actually liked it a lot too, because it's more of a star with a square in it. It's very unusual. I like this, the way I did that. Am I in this thing? Yeah, the way I did that one. And as you can see, I did the two fabrics, the same exact pattern, 2 different colorways. And I like that look. It's a little bit softer. But then I came back and I thought, you know, last week or 2 weeks ago, I was trying to make a pinwheel, a disappearing pinwheel. I thought, I can make pinwheels. I usually make my pinwheels out of half square triangles, having sewn them all together. But I was looking at a pattern and I thought, oh, I like that. I like that a lot, and I like the contrast of this block. We've had some soft blocks, we've had some busy blocks. This is a contrast, but it's not too much of a contrast like this one. This was just, that one didn't work for me. All I see is red, and from a distance, that'll just read red. So, I have 2 extra blocks here. I have about 5 extra blocks now. Again, not mistakes. I'll do something with them. But this is the block that I've settled on. My pinwheel. So, ta-da! There's my pinwheel block, my Dutchman flying geese Dutchman wheel block, I should say. Block number 19. Yeah, there are quite a few points to match, but you've done this before. And if you trim them down to a perfect 3.5 by 6.5 inch unit and pin them, I think you'll be very, very pleased the way this block will have turned out. Block number 19. I like it. I like it. I got to put my thinking cap on for the last block in our block party next week, block number 20. But this for now, folks, is block number 19. Fabric choice, very important. Get it right. Okay, have at it. There's block number 19. Thanks, folks.